Now, for obvious reasons, I'm going to have to manipulate the audio in this clip. I know. Some of these other YouTubers got the plug. I simply don't. But you're going to watch a crowd go completely mute as Bill Maher realizes that the Trump hush money trial was a big mistake.
The trial in New York, the one he got convicted for, was the greatest fundraising bonanza ever. He was lagging behind Biden, and now he's pulled quite a bit ahead. That trial was the greatest reason people had to send their checks for 5, 10, 25, whatever dollars to Donald Trump. So I was always with you on the one in New York, the hush money trial. I don't think they should have brought that one. It was just always going to look like a sex case, and people were always just going to look at it that way. So anyway.
That case, the Attorney General's case in New York, frankly, should have never been brought. And if his name was not Donald Trump, and if he wasn't running for president, I'm the former AG in New York, I'm telling you, that case would have never been brought. And that's what is offensive to people. And it should be, because if there's anything left, it's belief in the justice system.
Now, I understand that a lot of y'all may not be fans of Cuomo, but it was clear enough to realize that Democrats completely... I had to change my lingo because, boy, I'm on this platform. But the Democrats strongly dislike Donald Trump, and they're going to do whatever they can to make sure that he does not get in that office. And if you ask me, it just looks like a whole bunch of acts of desperation in terms of having to get him on these trials, especially this hush money trial. Because, again, like Cuomo said, I'm in agreement with this. I think we're more offended at the fact that we know that if this was anybody else but Trump, nothing would, come of this. This wouldn't be a trial at all. What happened was the DOJ and Biden miscalculated the response in favor of Donald Trump that would happen once they actually went after him. The voters have decided to take over this election season. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not going by what we seeing on TV and what people trying to get us to believe. You know why I really think they after Trump? Okay, here's my thought. I think that the Democrats are after Trump to get the public's attention away from the crimes that they're actually committing. Whoa. By the way, that was former New York Governor and Attorney General Andrew Cuomo, who had publicly stated that the legal case against former President Donald Trump in New York would not have been pursued if Trump were not a candidate for the presidency. Cuomo emphasized that the case, which he referred to as a show trial and a political persecution, would not have been brought if Trump's name was not Donald Trump and if he wasn't running for president. This statement has sparked a range of reactions. Yeah. I just want to make sure people actually had the proper context to that clip before we moved on. Hell, we got Alvin Bragg's former colleague and current CNN legal analyst calling out the rigged Trump case. CNN been cooking, y'all.
Yeah, so the jury instructions are so important. They're sort of dry, but they're crucial. They're the last thing the jury will hear before they disappear into that jury room to deliberate. And we, as a criminal justice system, we do the best we can. We try to have the judge explain it in non-legal, understandable terms. Some part of the jury instruction is easy to understand. For example, it's up to you, the jury, to assess the credibility of the witnesses. Anyone can understand that. Other parts get really deep into the weeds, usually when we get into the elements of the crime. And what happened today when the parties were arguing about what the jury instructions should be and should not be absolutely blew my mind. I need to call this out. We collectively, prosecutors, are pushing the boundaries of due process here. The general back and forth in the courtroom today was the defense lawyers saying, Your Honor, please tell the jury specifically what the other crime is, right? Prosecutors have to prove falsified records for another crime. Defense lawyers were begging him. They have to know what the other crime is. And prosecutors were saying, no, let's keep it very vague and general. It's a bizarro world. I know that there is some aggressive reading of the New York statute that says, well, the jury doesn't really have to know what the other crime is. But to me, that suggests that the DA's office is hell-bent on getting the conviction now and worry about the fallout.
Obviously, this was right before you had the jury deciding that Donald Trump was guilty. But here's the problem, right? Here's the biggest issue. They are moving forward with every illegal, rigged, blackmailed, criminal, tactic that they possibly can, that they can conceive of. And all the criticism is useless, just noise to them. It's just noise. They don't care. It's not going to stop them. They don't care about us realizing nothing. Nothing is going to stop them. Only action is going to stop them. And I don't see none of that happen. Most Republicans are leveraged at this point. We got a bunch of rhinos. We ain't got no help.
This is Congressman Wesley Hunt. He is a member of the House Judiciary, Small Business, and Natural Resources Committees. Congressman, what should we think? What should we believe is going on here, given the fact that first Joe Biden says we have to make sure Trump doesn't get back into the White House. 9 days later, on November 18th, we see all of this coordination, which Jesse Waters just reported. What do you say?
Maria, when tyrants speak, believe them. Alvin Bragg ran on putting President Trump in jail, and what he did was deliver on the promise that he made to the Biden administration. And we know why they're doing this. They're doing this because they are losing in every single swing state. I just saw a poll that he was even losing in Minnesota. So you have a former president that did a very good job. We had a secure border. We had a great economy. We were safer. And then we have 4 years of the Biden administration's failure. And then now all of a sudden, the only thing they could do to win in November is attempt to put President Trump in jail. This is a coordinated attack. And when I ask him these questions, Alvin Bragg, these questions coming up here next month on July the 12th, I want to know why, coincidentally, are we doing this right before the Republican National Convention, right before Donald Trump is going to be our nominee for the Republican Party? Why are we doing these things right now? It is obvious to the American people. It is obvious to these swing voters. It is obvious to independents. It's obvious to us. It's up to us to paint the picture, to let Americans know exactly what's happening and to vote accordingly in November to save this country. This is not a banana republic. They are behaving in a way that we have seen in all these rogue nations, all these rogue countries throughout history. And then all of a sudden, America is becoming that. It's up to us to stop that. And this is ground zero for it.
I don't think that the left realizes that this makes Trump support even stronger. This makes Trump supporters come together even stronger because we're able to see through all this BS. We know why y'all don't want this man to hit that office. You got to remember, he's somebody who wasn't bought and paid for. He came into the presidency with his own money, didn't accept any of the presidential salary. He can't be blackmailed into nothing. He don't need nobody's money for nothing. So you got all these other people who make all of their money from stealing taxpayers' dollars, trying to, bribe the man to do what they want, but he don't need to. So what does that mean? He's a threat to their agenda. Him getting back in that office will completely obliterate all of their functions as a legal company. It will remove, the cycle, the flow in which they make their bread. So yeah, they mad at that.
Mr. President, do you think that the charges against Trump are politically motivated?
No comment.
Sentencing, Congressman, is scheduled for July 11th. That is just 4 days before the Republican National Convention. How are you expecting the timing will play out when it comes to Trump's decision for vice president for his pick?
First of all, let's move the vice presidency to the side for a moment. The fact that Judge Marchand is setting sentencing 4 days before the Republican National Convention demonstrates how highly politically motivated this is. This case in New York was all about interfering in the 2024 presidential election. And so let's be very clear. You have radical elements in the Democrat Party who have no problems interfering in a presidential election. You got Jack Smith at the federal level, Fannie Willis down in Georgia, Juan Merchan and Alvin Bragg in New York. They are now interfering in a presidential election. So now when you talk about what it means for the vice presidency pick, no changes whatsoever. Donald Trump's still going to make that pick. He's going to make the best one that he sees fit. We're going to go and nominate Donald Trump in Milwaukee, and then we're going to go ahead and win back the White House.
And as Byron Donalds also put, the fact that Merchan said sentencing 4 days before the RNC demonstrates how politically motivated this case was. Radical elements of the Democrat Party have no problem interfering in our presidential elections. That's why we got to make sure in November we do what we do, man. And July, we got to make sure we next month we got to make sure we get that man nominated for sure. But yeah. I got clips for days about how this is politically motivated. I'm looking at a clip right now from Hillary Clinton, who I ain't even gonna go into that. Then we got right here Alvin Bragg's prosecution of President Trump was politically motivated and repellent with legal error and they went through a whole bunch of different reasons why the House Judiciary, GOP. So yeah, man, we got quite a few, quite a few. It's a lot of material on X if you want to go check it out. But my favorite one was when they asked Joe Biden, do you think that the charges against Trump are politically motivated? And he said, I have no comment on Trump. Bro, you got the most comments on Trump. You also got the most hound dogs on that man as well.